The signal in the void. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Resilience, watching the endless expanse of stars through the main viewport. Her ship was 3 months into a routine deep space exploration mission, mapping uncharted systems along the outer rim of known space. Earth had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago, and humanity was still proving itself worthy of a seat among the established civilizations. The bridge was peaceful, filled only with the quiet hum of systems and the soft beeping of sensors. Lieutenant Alex Rivera, barely 25 and fresh from the Space Academy, monitored the communications array with the enthusiasm of someone living their childhood dream. Dr. Marcus Torres, the mission's xenobiologist and linguistics expert, worked quietly at his station, cataloging data from their recent planetary surveys. "Captain," Rivera called out suddenly, his voice breaking the tranquil atmosphere. "I'm picking up something strange. It's not natural background radiation or stellar phenomena. This looks like an artificial signal." Chen moved to Rivera's station, her dark eyes focused and alert. Even at 42, she maintained the sharp awareness that had made her one of Earth's youngest ship commanders. "What kind of signal?" Rivera's fingers danced across his console, isolating and amplifying the transmission. "It's weak, heavily degraded. Definitely artificial origin, but not human. The frequency patterns are unlike anything in our databases." Dr. Torres looked up from his work, his graying beard unable to hide his sudden interest. "May I hear it?" Rivera nodded and played the signal through the bridge speakers. What emerged was haunting. A series of musical tones that rose and fell in patterns that seemed almost like a song, but underneath the melody was something else. Desperation. Fear. A plea that transcended species barriers. Torres stood up abruptly, his eyes wide with recognition. "Captain, I know this pattern. I've studied similar harmonic structures in my research. This isn't just a signal. It's a distress call. Someone out there is asking for help." Decoding the message, Chen felt her heart rate increase. First contact protocols were clear, but this was different. This wasn't peaceful exploration. This was someone in immediate danger. "How long to decode it?" "Give me 12 hours, Torres replied, already pulling up his translation algorithms. "Maybe less if we can clean up the signal degradation." "Do it." Rivera traced the signal's origin. "I want to know exactly where it's coming from and how far away." The next several hours passed in tense concentration. The entire crew worked together, with engineering boosting the communications array's sensitivity and the navigation team plotting potential courses. Torres worked through the night, cross-referencing the harmonic patterns with every known language database. When Torres finally called Chen back to the bridge, his face was pale but excited. "Captain, I've got it. The species calls themselves the Kyrathi. They're herbivorous, highly intelligent, and from what I can gather from their linguistic patterns, they're a peaceful civilization focused on art, science, and philosophy." "What's their emergency?" Chen asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. Torres activated the main screen, showing a rough translation of the message. "They're under attack. A species they call the Dominion has invaded their star systems. According to this message, the Dominion has already destroyed 6 Kyrathi colonies and is now besieging their homeworld. They're asking, no, begging, for anyone who can help them." The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. The Kyrathi had sent their distress call out into the void, hoping someone, anyone, would hear and respond. Lieutenant Rivera spoke first, his young voice filled with determination. "Captain, we have to help them." Chen studied the tactical data Rivera had gathered. The signal originated from a system approximately 2 weeks away at maximum burn. "What do we know about this Dominion?" Torres consulted his notes. "Very little from the Kyrathi message, but what I can piece together is troubling. The Kyrathi describe them as the devourers of worlds, and those who take everything. From the context, it seems the Dominion conquers other species not just for territory, but to absorb their knowledge, resources, and populations. The weight of decision. Chen walked to the main viewport, staring out at the stars while her mind raced through possibilities. The Resilience was an exploration vessel, not a warship. Her crew of 85 included scientists, engineers, and support staff, but only a small contingent of security personnel. They had defensive capabilities, but nothing designed for major combat operations. "Dr. Torres," she said finally, "in your analysis, what are the chances the Kyrethi civilization survives without intervention?" Torres checked his translation again, his expression grim. Based on their message, the siege of their homeworld began approximately 3 weeks ago. If no help arrives, they estimate they have perhaps 2 weeks of defensive capacity remaining. After that, he didn't need to finish. Chen activated her command chair's communication system. "This is Captain Chen to all senior staff. Emergency meeting in conference room A in 15 minutes. The senior staff meeting was brief but intense. Chief Engineer Amanda Walsh expressed concerns about pushing the ship's engines for a 2-week journey at maximum burn. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Patel worried about their medical supplies if they encountered casualties. Security Chief Commander Hassan was blunt about their limited combat capabilities. Captain, Hassan said, his scared face serious from years of military service, the Resilience isn't built for war. We've got point defense systems and standard security protocols. But if this Dominion is powerful enough to besiege an entire civilization, we could be flying into a death trap." Chen nodded, acknowledging the risk. "What if we don't go? What if we pretend we never heard their call for help?" The room fell silent. Finally, Dr. Torres spoke. "Then we become the kind of species that turns away when others need help. Is that who we want to be?" Earth's response. Chen made her decision. "Dr. Torres, prepare a full analysis of everything we know about the Kyrethi and this Dominion threat. Rivera, send an emergency transmission to Earth Command. Include the Kyrethi distress call, our analysis, and our current position. Request immediate orders." "What if Earth Command orders us to return?" Rivera asked. "Then we follow orders," Chen replied. "But I suspect they won't." She was right. The response from Earth came 18 hours later, transmitted with the highest priority encryption. Admiral James Morrison's weathered face appeared on the main screen, his expression grave but determined. "Captain Chen, the Security Council has reviewed your report. The situation you've described represents humanity's first opportunity to demonstrate our values on a galactic stage. We cannot stand by while an entire civilization faces extinction." Chen felt a surge of pride in her species. Despite being newcomers to galactic politics, Earth was choosing to act. Morrison continued, "The Resilience is no longer alone. We're dispatching the 5th Fleet under my direct command. 12 ships including the heavy cruisers Indomitable and Defiant, plus support vessels and marine contingents. Your orders are to proceed to Kyrethi space immediately and begin reconnaissance. The fleet will rendezvous with you at these coordinates in 8 days." The Admiral's expression softened slightly. "Captain, what you're about to undertake will be remembered for generations. Humanity's first military intervention on behalf of another species. Make us proud." Preparing for the unknown. As the Resilience changed course toward Kyrethi space, the crew transformed from explorers into something more focused and determined. Dr. Torres worked around the clock, learning everything possible about Kyrethi culture and biology from their transmissions. Engineer Walsh pushed the ship's engines to their limits while maintaining critical systems. Commander Hassan drilled the security teams in close-quarters combat scenarios. Lieutenant Rivera proved invaluable, not just as a communications officer, but as a bridge between the older, more experienced crew and the younger generation of space explorers. His enthusiasm and determination reminded everyone why they had chosen to explore the stars. 3 days into their journey, they received another Kyrethi transmission. This one was weaker, more desperate. Torres translated it quickly. The Dominion had broken through the outer defensive grid around the Kyrathi homeworld. Time was running out faster than anyone had hoped. Chen stood on the bridge, watching the stars stream past as they pushed through hyperspace toward an unknown enemy. Behind her, her crew worked with quiet efficiency, each person focused on their role in humanity's first interstellar rescue mission. The enemy revealed. Dr. Torres called Chen to his station with urgency in his voice. "Captain, I've been analyzing the technical specifications hidden in the Kyrathi transmissions. The Dominion isn't just conquering the Kyrathi, they're harvesting them." "What do you mean?" Chen asked, though she dreaded the answer. The Kyrathi described Dominion ships as world eaters and mentioned their populations being absorbed into the dark vessels. "I believe the Dominion doesn't just conquer other species. They literally consume them, their knowledge, their resources, their very essence." Chen felt cold. This wasn't territorial expansion or resource acquisition. This was something far worse, the complete erasure of entire civilizations. "There's more," Torres continued. "I've been analyzing the Dominion's technological signatures from the Kyrathi sensor data. Their ships are massive, their weapons are energy-based and incredibly powerful. Based on what I can determine, a single Dominion vessel outguns anything in Earth's fleet." The implications were staggering. Earth's Fifth Fleet was rushing toward an enemy that could potentially destroy them all. Chen activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is the captain. I know rumors have been spreading about what we're facing out there. Let me be clear with all of you. This mission is dangerous. The enemy we're going to fight is powerful, ruthless, and has already conquered multiple star systems. But we're going anyway because that's what humans do. We stand up to bullies, we protect those who can't protect themselves, and we never back down from doing what's right, no matter the odds." She paused, looking around at her crew. 5 years ago, humanity joined the Galactic community as the new species on the block. In a few days, we're going to show everyone exactly what Earth's children are made of. As the Resilience continued its journey through the darkness between stars, racing to meet up with Earth's fleet and then confront an enemy that had never faced humans before, one thing was certain: the galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers, but their absolute refusal to abandon those in need. The Kyrathi had called out into the void for help, and Earth's children were answering that call with everything they had. Rendezvous with Destiny, the sight that greeted Captain Chen when Earth's Fifth Fleet dropped out of hyperspace, was both magnificent and sobering. 12 human vessels arranged in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming against the backdrop of distant stars. The flagship Indomitable dwarfed the exploration vessel Resilience, its weapons arrays and armor plating making it clear this was a ship built for war. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the main screen, his expression grim but determined. "Captain Chen, your reconnaissance has been invaluable. What's our current tactical situation?" Chen activated the holographic display showing the Kyrathi system. "Admiral, the situation is worse than we initially thought. Long-range sensors confirm 3 massive Dominion vessels in orbit around the Kyrathi homeworld. Each one is approximately twice the size of our largest cruiser. They're maintaining a blockade while smaller ships conduct what appears to be harvesting operations on the planet's surface." Dr. Torres stepped forward. "Admiral, I've established communication with the surviving Kyrathi leadership. Their Prime Minister, Zeltar, is coordinating resistance from underground bunkers. According to their reports, the Dominion has already taken 60% of their major population centers." Morrison studied the tactical display, his weathered face showing the weight of command. 12 ships against 3, but they outmass us significantly. What do we know about their capabilities? "Their shields are incredibly powerful," Chen reported. "Energy-based, designed to deflect the plasma weapons most galactic species use. Their own weapons are plasma cannons of enormous size. But Admiral, there's something else." She highlighted specific sensor readings. "The Dominion ships are old, very old. Their technology is advanced, but appears to be based on principles that haven't changed in centuries, possibly millennia. They've been using the same tactics, the same approaches, conquering species after species. A slow smile spread across Morrison's face. They've never fought humans before. First contact with the Kyrethi. Dr. Torres worked feverishly to establish a stable communication link with the Kyrethi leadership. When the connection finally stabilized, the alien face that appeared on screen was both beautiful and heartbreaking. Zeltar had elongated features with large, expressive eyes that currently held depths of exhaustion and despair. Her skin had a subtle blue tint, and when she spoke, her voice carried musical tones even through the universal translator. "Human vessels," she said, her voice filled with wonder and desperate hope, "you came. After so many ignored our calls, you actually came." Admiral Morrison stepped forward. "Prime Minister Zeltar, I am Admiral Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. We received your distress call, and we're here to help." Zeltar's eyes widened. "Earth, the young species from the outer rim. But you are so few, and the Dominion so powerful. They have devoured 12 civilizations. Their ships are invincible." "Ma'am," Morrison replied with quiet confidence, "no ship is invincible. We're going to need your help to understand their patterns, their weaknesses. Can you provide us with detailed sensor data from their attacks?" Over the next several hours, the Kyrethi transmitted everything they had learned about Dominion tactics. The pattern was always the same. Massive ships would arrive, establish orbital dominance through overwhelming firepower, then systematically harvest the population and resources. The Dominion had perfected this approach over millennia, and no species had ever successfully resisted them. Dr. Torres made a disturbing discovery while analyzing the data. "Admiral, the Dominion ships aren't just conquering. They're literally consuming the civilizations they defeat. Those harvesting operations appear to be gathering not just resources and people, but knowledge, culture, even genetic material. They're absorbing entire species into their collective." The human advantage. Commander Hassan, now serving as tactical advisor to the fleet, identified the key insight. "Admiral, look at these attack patterns. The Dominion always uses the same approach, overwhelming force applied systematically. They've never had to adapt because nothing has ever challenged them effectively." Morrison nodded slowly. "They're used to prey that fights predictably. Energy shields, plasma weapons, conventional space combat tactics. They've never encountered humans." Captain Chen smiled grimly. "Sir, humans evolved on a world that was actively trying to kill us every single day. We learned to be unpredictable, to use whatever worked, to adapt or die. Earth didn't give us the luxury of developing proper combat doctrines. The battle plan that emerged from their discussions would have been considered insane by any established galactic military doctrine. Instead of engaging the Dominion ships directly, the human fleet would use hit-and-run tactics, exploit blind spots, and employ weapons the Dominion had never encountered." Lieutenant Rivera, now serving as communication coordinator for the fleet, provided the final piece of the puzzle. "Admiral, I've been monitoring Dominion communications. They're not taking us seriously. Their ship-to-ship chatter refers to us as the primitive newcomers and another easy harvest. They think we're going to attack them head-on like everyone else has." The battle begins. The human fleet approached the Kyrethi system in standard formation, appearing to follow conventional attack protocols. The 3 Dominion vessels, each nearly a kilometer long and bristling with weapons, maintained their positions in high orbit. Their commander, War Leader Zek Thol, watched the approaching human ships with the bored confidence of someone who had witnessed this same scenario countless times. "More primitives come to die," he growled to his bridge crew. "Prepare the plasma arrays. We'll destroy them quickly and return to the harvest." The Dominion ships powered up their weapons, massive energy signatures lighting up every sensor in the system. Their shields shimmered into visibility, energy barriers capable of deflecting any known weapon. This was the moment when every other species had realized their hopelessness, and either fled or died. Instead, the human fleet suddenly scattered. Ships peeled off in all directions, moving with an unpredictability that confused the Dominion targeting computers. Instead of plasma cannons, the human ships opened fire with kinetic weapons, railguns firing dense metal projectiles at incredible velocities, and missile swarms using chemical explosives and shaped charges. The Dominion shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, offered minimal protection against solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. The first railgun volleys punched through the energy barriers like they weren't there, slamming into the hull of the lead Dominion vessel. Zekthul stared in disbelief as his ship shuddered under impacts. His shields should have stopped. Impossible. What are these weapons? War leader, his tactical officer reported, panic creeping into his voice. Their projectiles are passing through our shields. Our barriers cannot stop solid matter at these velocities. Adaptation and innovation. But the Dominion ships were still massive and heavily armored. The human kinetic weapons were causing damage, but not enough to disable vessels of such enormous size. Morrison realized they needed a different approach. All ships, switch to targeting pattern Omega, he commanded. We're not trying to destroy them. We're trying to blind them. The breakthrough came when Dr. Torres made a crucial observation. Admiral, the Dominion ships are all networked together. They share processing power, targeting data, everything. It makes them incredibly efficient, but it also makes them vulnerable. Morrison finished. If we can disrupt that network. Lieutenant Rivera had been monitoring Dominion communications throughout the battle. Sir, I think I can hack their network. Their communication protocols are advanced but rigid. They haven't been updated in centuries because they've never needed to be. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. Rivera, a 25-year-old human who had learned computer systems by troubleshooting Earth's jury-rigged early space technology, managed to penetrate a communication network that had dominated the galaxy for millennia. He didn't try to control the Dominion ships. That would have been impossible. Instead, he introduced chaos into their coordination systems. Navigation data became corrupted, targeting information showed false readings, and most critically, the shared processing power that made the Dominion fleet so formidable began working against itself. The three massive ships, suddenly isolated and confused, began firing on sensor ghosts and maneuvering to avoid threats that didn't exist. Their perfect coordination dissolved into chaos. Victory and its price. Admiral Morrison seized the moment. All ships concentrated fire on the lead vessel. Target the engine systems. The human fleet converged on the flagship of war leader Zekthul, their kinetic weapons and missiles overwhelming the confused ship's defenses. Critical systems failed in cascade, and the massive vessel began losing power and maneuverability. Zekthul, veteran of 1,000 conquests, found himself facing something he had never experienced: defeat. As his ship's systems failed around him, he transmitted one final message to the other Dominion vessels. "Retreat," he commanded, his voice filled with disbelief. "These humans, they fight like no species we have encountered. They adapt, they innovate, they refuse to follow the patterns. Retreat now, before we lose everything." The two remaining Dominion ships, their coordination systems still corrupted by Rivera's hack, began powering up their hyperspace drives for emergency departure. But Captain Chen had one more surprise. "Admiral, the Resilience is in position to block their escape vector. If we can disable their hyperdrive before they jump." "Do it," Morrison commanded. The exploration vessel Resilience, never designed for combat, made a desperate attack run on the nearest Dominion ship. Their railguns, firing at point-blank range, punched through the alien vessel's hyperdrive systems just as it was attempting to escape. The massive ship lurched out of hyperspace, dead in space. The third Dominion vessel managed to escape, but not before transmitting a warning to the rest of their empire. The humans are not like the others. They are dangerous. They are unpredictable. Liberation and legacy. The liberation of the Kyrethi homeworld took 3 days. Human Marines, working alongside Kyrethi resistance fighters, systematically cleared Dominion harvesting operations from the planet's surface. Dr. Torres worked with Kyrethi scientists to reverse some of the damage done to their population centers. Prime Minister Xeltar stood in the ruins of her capital city, tears streaming down her blue-tinted face as she watched human and Kyrethi workers side by side, rebuilding what the Dominion had destroyed. "Admiral Morrison," she said through the translator, her voice filled with emotion, "my people will never forget what you have done. When we sent our distress call into the void, we hoped someone, anyone, would hear us. We never expected anyone to risk everything to save us." Morrison looked out over the city where humans and Kyrethi worked together, building something new from the ashes of destruction. "Prime Minister, humanity learned long ago that we're stronger when we stand together. Today, that lesson extended beyond our own species." The aftermath of the Battle of Kyrethi, as it came to be known, sent shockwaves throughout the galactic community. The Dominion, invincible for millennia, had been defeated by a species barely 5 years into interstellar civilization. More importantly, humanity had intervened not for resources or territory, but simply because someone had asked for help. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Resilience, watching as the combined human Kyrethi fleet prepared for the journey home. Dr. Torres had accepted an invitation to establish a permanent cultural exchange program. Lieutenant Rivera had been promoted and assigned to establish communication protocols with other species who might need assistance. "Captain," Rivera said, monitoring the communications array, "we're receiving signals from across the galaxy. Species we've never heard of, all sending the same message." "What message?" Chen asked. Rivera smiled, his young face bright with possibility. "They're asking for help, and they're specifically asking for humans." Admiral Morrison's voice came across the fleet communication channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Today we prove that no one in this galaxy has to face extinction alone. We've shown that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our numbers. It's our unwillingness to let others suffer when we have the power to help." As the fleet prepared to depart Kyrethi space, leaving behind a liberated world and a new alliance, one thing was clear. Humanity had found its place among the stars not as conquerors, but as protectors. The galaxy's newest species had become its most reliable defenders, and the word human would forever be associated with hope. The Kyrethi had called out into the void for salvation, and Earth's children had answered with everything they had. In doing so, they had not only saved a civilization, they had defined what it meant to be human among the stars.